Peace. Hope everybody been enjoying the video so far. This is the Open Mindedness video series, episode 6. Apologize about the lighting. The sun isn't quite out yet. It's been rainy and kind of drowsy today, so the video might not be as lit up as normal. But nonetheless, let's get into it. Today we want to talk about what is this war on Islam. Some people might call it the war on terror. But really, it's about Islam. So what is this war on Islam all about? Well, first of all, if you really believe that there are these Islamic people, these Muslims, whether Orthodox or Nation of Islam, whatever the case might be, that are hell-bent on creating destruction and the world is going to end and we want the battle of Armageddon and all this other crazy stuff, right? Then you're sadly mistaken, because this campaign of quote-unquote the war on terror, like I said in the beginning, is really about stopping the influence and the spread of Islam. So, for example, the media wants us to believe, the media is also called the Fourth Estate, so if I say the Fourth Estate, just know that I'm talking about the media. But nonetheless, they want us to believe that there's these Muslim people around the planet that hate their country. And because they hate their country and they're jealous of the democracy that America has, that all of a sudden now we want to blow up some stuff, cause terrorist acts, recruit child soldiers, and do all this other stuff. Now, there are factions and little small areas or pockets throughout the world that this type of mindset occurs. Not that they're jealous, it's just that they feel like they have been done unjustly by America and their foreign policy. But nonetheless, there's little small pockets that you can highlight and pull up and claim that there's, terrorists, they're a terrorist cell or whatever the case might be. But the reality is, this government wants to stop the spread of Islam. This goes back all the way to, I believe, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. I believe it was George Washington that said, the enemy of America is fundamentalist Islam. Now, he wasn't saying that way back in the day just because of terrorism or them wanting to do harm to American people. That's not the case. The real reason that they have a war on Islam is because, let's think about this. I'm going to break it all the way down. All right. For example, America, politically wise, call themselves a democracy. But when it comes to economics, they call themselves capitalists. Now, capitalists, for anybody who's ever studied that system, it's really a dog-eat-dog type of system. That those who are rich are going to make their way to the top by slamming a couple people off the ladder of success. And once they get up the ladder of success, anybody else that tries to get up there, they have to find and connive and deceive their way to pushing them back to the bottom so that they can remain on top as either a monopoly or as one of the halves of society. So the have-nots are the ones that share the burden or the labor of the society to make the haves even more richer, while the have-nots become even poorer. This is the basis of capitalism. There will always be people who are suffering, oppressed, poor, naked, raggedy, hungry, and out of doors. And then the people that are profiting off of them are at the top, and they have the life of luxury. Now, whether or not they have peace in their mind, of course, God is ultimately in control of that, but nonetheless, they have the bank account to make some things happen. Now, with that type of capitalist society, you have a world populated with Muslims. So let's break this all the way down to the most simplest form. As Muslim followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we do not drink. So your billion-dollar industry, trillion-dollar industry of liquor, just think about it. If everybody went to Islam, your trillion-dollar industry of liquor is done away with. That's a big hit in the pocket. Secondly, as Muslims, we don't partake in cigarettes or weed or any type of smoke or any of the other things. So now your tobacco industry is now null and void because you can't produce income if no one's buying. The supply will outweigh the demand greatly, even for those who may fall off of their deen or fall off of their path or discipline and actually partake in it, it won't be enough to sustain the world of the people who run tobacco and liquor. Then there's a bunch of trillions of billions of dollars made off of pornography. But pornography is not acceptable in the Muslim world either. So then you lose the money off of people buying videos and this and that other stuff that industry provides. So then you have people that have a dietary law that's in alignment with the Quran and the Bible, right? And if it's in alignment with the Quran and the Bible, there are certain things that we don't eat. So your fast food industry dies. Your hospital bills decrease because people are now going for regular checkups and minor things. But if we all are in alignment with the dietary law of Islam, then sickness isn't as pervasive as it is now. But because this society is undisciplined and the enemy has made evil fair seeming, meaning that now we have these tolerancies of religion, where now we have a tolerancy of liquor, a tolerancy of smoking, a tolerancy of eating improperly. Now the enemy has become successful because of the lack of discipline of the righteous, we are now one of the biggest contributors to those industries or those worlds. But if everybody accepts Islam and the discipline that Islam is, in particular the Nation of Islam in the West, the followers of the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, if everybody jumps on to how we conduct ourselves, the disciplines that we impart on ourselves, you're talking about a loss of trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars. So this war on Islam is much deeper than this quote-unquote terrorism. Remember, the 9/11 Commission came out, and if you go back and research it, you'll see that Condoleezza Rice and George Bush and all the other cats, when they were talking about all those weapons of mass destruction and the 9/11 being a terrorist plot, this has already been proven scientific-wise, congressional hearing-wise, commission-wise, that it was a lie, that it's not true, it's not the case. If you haven't seen Fahrenheit 9/11 or any of these other documentaries or the pilots that came out about the truth about 9/11 and all these other DVDs and documentaries that's out by this time, you're really doing yourself a disservice and you choose to remain ignorant. But for those who have been abreast of these documentaries, it's clear that 9/11 was not done by Muslims. It's clear that these weapons of mass destruction that Saddam Hussein was supposed to have were never found. They didn't exist, and it's not a part of and it's not real. We were brought into the wars of Iraq and Afghanistan on the basis of a lie. But this is nothing new. Look at the media. The media always perpetuates a lie, and they tell a lie so much to the people believe it. Right now, you can see that they have a clear out assault on Bill Cosby. And I could drop a video on that in the future about what's the real reason behind why they're attacking Bill Cosby this way. But there was just an article released where there was a young female who declined to bash and badmouth Bill Cosby. And she came out and told the public how much she was offered cash in order to try to catch Bill Cosby up in this conspiracy. So, the media can be trusted. For those who know economics, you can always follow the paper trail to see who's responsible. CNN, ABC, Fox, all of these networks are controlled by a small circle of Jews. Now, before anybody screams anti-Semitism and all this other stuff, this is just a reality. It's controlled by a small circle of Jews. And the Bible, that most of people believe in, actually talks about it. In the book of Revelation, it says, it warns you that in the end times, there will be those who were Jews, who called themselves Jews. This is the language that they use. Who called themselves Jews, but were really of the synagogue of Satan. So Revelation's already warned us about these people who would manipulate and deceive the masses, and just for profit and just for gain and just to control and influence the entire world. But this war and attack on Islam is really nothing more than a method or a means or a vehicle to try to maintain their capitalist society. And in capitalism, because it's a dog-eat-dog world, you're always going to have those who are dissatisfied in that society. And because the dissatisfaction of the society based off of the injustices that capitalism inspires, or capitalism infiltrates into the network or the fiber of America, now you have this huge percentage of dissatisfaction in America that is now at a tipping point. So now we look at these major pinnacle points around the world, and now you can see that Ferguson and all these other type of events, the brother who just got shot in New York, and now they're protesting and hitting the streets and going to the police precinct and all this other stuff, is at a tipping point now. But just remember, whenever you hear about that war on terrorism and war on violence and all these other things, war on drugs, it's really a war on on Muslims and Islam. But even in more particular, it's really a war on black youth. And I could prove this in no limited time with basic discussion, basic facts. I encourage you to everything that I share today, you go back and research. Look at who's controlling CNN, ABC, Fox News. There's documentaries on YouTube, all type of documentaries that you can see where they specifically lied 100%. And it's been proven otherwise when they're telling all of these stories across the media. And I could hit one real in particular, but I'm trying to think about whether or not it's time to hit that. So I'll leave that alone. But, you know, you all have a blessed day. Look further into Islam. Look further about what a Muslim is, because whenever the enemies of God, the unrighteous, they begin an assault or an attack on something, the 9 times out of 10 as black people, you want to draw closer to that thing, because they have ulterior motives behind everything that they do. So as long as we're being open-minded, we're being aware, we're watching for the fulfillment of things that they say or things that they promise, you can definitely see the hypocrisy and the lies that this government and this media, the fourth estate, and all of these things perpetuate. So with that being said, war on Islam, I think there needs to be like a part 2 and part 3, because there's so much information to share in regards to this war on Islam. But nonetheless, that's enough time. Peace.